In this video, we will learn how to configure environments in Terraform, how to configure GitHub Environments and its secrets. Finally, how to promote code from dev to QA, UAT and prod using GitHub workflow or pipeline. We have successfully created our first GitHub Actions pipeline. Now let's do some enhancement to the pipeline, the way a real development environment works. Go back to VS Code. We don't have this pipeline yet here, so make sure we are in our main branch. Right now I am in my main branch, git pull, to pull all the latest code from GitHub, and it's downloaded successfully. And we can see .github folder created, and inside workflows, so the newly created workflow just downloaded here. So all the latest code right now in our local system. Create a new feature branch from the main branch. So the command is git checkout -b means create branch, and the name is, I'm just using my initials, then / and the name of the branch, add new features. Enter. So we can see I'm switched to newly created branch, this one. Now we can start updating, and then once our development is done, then we will push the code, merge to the main using a pull request. That is the workflow of the development. Now we have many files. Let's organize all Terraform related files to a subfolder and remove all unnecessary files. So let's remove this folder as well. We don't need this one. Terraform state. Now the folder structure is simple. For the pipeline, we have GitHub work folder, and we have only one pipeline, and all Terraform related files move to Terraform folder, and these are Git related files, readme, git ignore, and this one just for local testing. Right now we have one tfvar file, so let's create environment specific variables. To achieve this, let's create a subfolder enviz, create file, can name it dev tfvar, dev tfvars, and environment we can say dev, region is the same. Bucket name, we are adding different bucket for dev, and all environment will have like different bucket, environment specific. So let's create same for other environments. So I have created 4 files, dev, prod, QA and UAT. So dev will have dev bucket, prod will have prod bucket, QA will have QA bucket, and UAT will have UAT bucket. And also I said environment is UAT. And we don't need our tfvar anymore. Let's delete it. Right now we have one backend file, and the state file is going here. But in production environment, we usually keep all the environments separate. For example, dev will have dev internal state file, UAT will have UAT file, QA will have QA file, and production will have production own state file. So one environment will not conflict with other environment. So to achieve this, let's create a subfolder called backend. So in backend folder, let's create a file called dev HCL. So let's put it side by side. Let's put it here. So this is our existing backend file. This is our new HCL file. HCL is a special kind of metadata file. We cannot put the entire block inside HCL file, but only we can partially add some values in there. So from the backend block, we can put these parameters or attributes to the HCL block. So let's move these two here. And we can say our parent bucket remain the same, but we want to create subfolder for different environment. Right now we have Terraform under state. Let's create another subfolder for dev. Save it. And also we don't need this anymore here. Let's remove this part. Just the basic block here without any information here. All the information actually going to the environment specific HCL file. Now let's do same for all other environments. All right. So now dev has own dev folder. Prod will have prod, QA folder, and the UAT will have UAT subfolder for the state file. Now we have a lot of changes in the file structure. So let's update our pipeline so it will reflect the latest changes. Let's close everything, open the pipeline. I have updated the pipelines. Here engineers will always push their changes to dev, then dev pipeline will trigger. Promoting code to upper environment like QA, UAT and prod, I have created a separate pipeline that needs to be triggered manually. So let's check details how this pipeline works. Here you can see developer will push different changes to using the dev pipeline. So every time they push a change, it will create a tag. It is like a version dev version 1, dev version 2, dev version 3. So there will be many versions after each deployment, if each successful deployment to the dev environment. Next, we have a separate pipeline to promote upper environments like QA, UAT, and prod. For example, QA always dependent on dev. In pipeline, we will have option. We can give specific version, specific tag there. If we put specific tag, for example, dev 1 we want to deploy, then the QA will deploy dev 1 version of the code, and in QA we will have QA tag is a QA1. If we don't put any tag, so it will always go for the latest one. So the latest tag will be deployed. Similarly, our UAT environment will be dependent on QA and our production will be dependent on UAT. And if we submit no input means no version, it will always deploy the latest version. Now let's go back and check the real code. Here in the dev pipeline, everything was same. Only I introduced the working directory because we have now created Terraform subdirectory under our main project folder. So our Terraform code should be run under Terraform folder because all the configuration right now under Terraform. Next thing here, we introduced environment. We'll have 4 environments: dev, QA, UAT, and prod. So this pipeline is for dev environment, and also we're specifying working directory is the Terraform. And rest of the things are same. Checking out code, authentication, same, using the service account key. Terraform setup is same. Initialization part is now modified because we want to have separate state file for each environment. And our state file configuration right now inside backend folder for each environment. Here I'm passing environment variable here. Different environment HCL parameter. For example, dev1 has its own parameter and each environment will have its own separate folder and file. Next, format check same and the validate also same, and only change in the planning part because right now we have environment specific variables and files under envs folder. So we can see different environment specific variable. For example, on dev, the bucket name will be the bucket name underscore dev, and also the tag will be dev, production will be prod bucket, QA will be QA bucket, and the UAT will create a UAT bucket. And we are passing project ID from our GitHub Action secret, and also we are producing a TF plan. And once the plan created, we'll upload that plan into the pipeline artifact registry. So the subsequent run can use the same plan for apply. I put this apply part separate because some organizations have peer review, and once approved by engineer, then you can only apply the change and merge your code into the main. And in case we need approval, we can always add it here. So right now no approval, but still have some checks, like if we are merging to main, then only apply the changes. And because we need to create tag after apply, we need write permission. These parts are same, checking out code, but here we are not creating any new plan. We are downloading the existing plan that we created in our previous step, and also we are applying the change, and we are passing auto approve, but you can always add an approval process here in between. And finally, once the apply successful, we'll create a tag, and the tag will be something like dev1, dev2, dev3, something like this. If it for the first time it will create dev1, and for next run it will always add 1 plus 1. We'll see some examples, then it will be more clear in GitHub Actions. So next pipeline I have created, GCP Terraform Promote. It is a reusable pipeline that can be used for QA, UAT, and production deployment. Right now it is manual, means on demand you will deploy from dev to QA, QA to UAT, UAT to prod. So at the beginning we are getting inputs, what environment we want to deploy, QA, UAT, or prod, and also looking for another input if there is any tag to specify. If the tag is empty, then it will use latest deployment from previous environment. We are using same Terraform version and working directory is the same. Because we are deploying to upper environment, the first thing is to resolve the tag. If we specify any tag, then it will go for that tag. Otherwise, it will try to find the latest tag from the previous environment. If we want to deploy QA, then it will look for dev tag. If it is we want to deploy UAT, then it will look for QA. If it is production, then we want UAT tags. Next tab is the plan. Here we set a dependency. It is dependent on the previous tab. We are checking a specific tag, whatever the tag provided for deployment, code promotion. We want to check out that specific version of the code here. So next tab is approval, because upper environment require approvals. So here I just added a placeholder here, but in real scenario you just add to wait for the approval process. Finally, the apply block here depends on previous two blocks to be successful, resolve tag and approve. Both of them should be successful. So once apply done, same thing, we're going to create a new tag based on that environment. If we are promoting to QA, so new tag will be created for QA. We'll check this how it works. In GitHub, we need to set up all these environments. Go to your repository, then settings. Inside settings, GitHub has environment. Right now there is no environment. Create new environment, dev, configure environment, new environment, QA, new environment, UAT, and new environment, prod. Now let's go to the secrets and variables for actions. So we can see right now we have repository specific secrets, but now we need environment specific secrets. So these two, just remove them, but we need to configure them on each environment. We deleted repository secrets. Now we need to create the secrets under the environment. Manage environment secrets. For example, dev, we need to add dev environment secrets. So I have created these two secrets in all environments, service account key and project ID. So usually these two secrets are different in different environments, but in my case I am using the same for this demo purpose. Now let's submit our changes to GitHub. Git status. So we have a lot of changes here. So let's add all changes. Git status. Let's commit the change. Is committed. Let's check again the status. Everything is sync. So right now we are in our feature branch. So let's submit the code. So you can say git push. Because that branch does not exist in the GitHub, so we need to execute this command. So this will create a new branch there and submit our changes. So so code is uploaded successfully. Now let's go to GitHub and go to actions. Yes, and we can see our dev pipeline started running because we just submitted our code to this new branch, and this will execute up to the planning stage. Let's go inside the plan and we can see the plan is successful. And the latest plan is it will create a new bucket called demo bucket 3 underscore dev, because we are creating environment specific bucket now. So we can see the plan is successful. Let's go back action. So it is successful, but we need to create a pull request, and we want to merge this code into the main, let's create a pull request here. So let's keep the title as is, create pull request. So during pull request, it will run another time and up to the planning stage, because we are not merging to main yet. So it will just up to the plan. See the apply and tag, it is not executing. So let's go back to pull request again. Click here. So we can see the pull request step is successful. Now let's merge to main. Merge pull request, same, confirm merge. So now it will apply, plan and apply, both will execute. So we can see it started, the pipeline started, dev started. So now it will plan and finally it will apply. So see the now apply actually started running. See? So initial download, apply, generating tag. So see everything is completed. And we can see the new dev, because this is the first time, so dev one tag generated for the dev environment. Back to our code and we can see one tag generated. So if we click this one, so this is the dev tag generated because we executed dev pipeline. But let's go to our GCP console and verify the new bucket created here. And we can see the Terraform bucket 3 dev created here. If we go inside, we can see it's a brand new bucket created, and we can see also the levels. It is dev and also managed by Terraform. And let's go inside the Terraform state bucket. So now we have a Terraform folder inside state. So now we have dev folder, because and inside dev it will manage a state file. When we execute QA, it will create QA folder and put its state file under QA. So each environment will be separate. Now let's go and promote that code to QA. So when we promote that code, so the QA environment, Terraform will create a QA bucket for QA environment, and also it will manage its state file under QA folder here. Actions. So we have two pipelines. So one is dev pipeline. It is already executed. Let's no previous run. So let's run for the first time. So when we start to run, it is saying which environment I want to move, because we only have dev. We can only promote to QA. Let's select QA. We can leave it. QA will use latest dev tag, or we can specify dev one. So let's leave it empty and run the workflow. We can see the resolve tag is started. Plan started running in resolve tag, so we can see the dev one should be picked. So here. So now plan is running. Plan is done. Now here waiting for approval. Normally someone should review it, and once approved then it will go for apply. For here, for demo purpose, I just put an option here, so we can always add code. Approval is done and completed. Once it is completed, we can see back to code. So we can see two tags now. So one is QA, one is dev. We promoted code from dev to QA. So now we can promote that QA, same version of code, to UAT, and from UAT to prod. And let's go to the GCP bucket. Let's refresh here. So we can see QA bucket is created by Terraform. And also in state file, let's go inside and we should see Terraform managing its state file here. So let's refresh this. I don't know why it is not showing up state. Yeah, so we can see the QA folder is created, and QA has its own state file, dev has its own state file. So different environment, different state file. So everything is separate now. So that's how we can separate different environments and promote code from dev to QA to UAT to prod. In this video, we have covered how to configure environments in Terraform, how to configure GitHub Environments and its secrets. Finally, how to promote code from dev to QA, UAT and prod using GitHub workflow or pipeline.